Yes, people, welcome to LFC Red Forever channel. So we're doing the preview show. So please, before we start, hit that subscription button, notification button, and like button, and all that good stuff. I've got obviously guests on this channel, regulars on this channel. They are part of this channel. So let me introduce them. The first person I'll be introducing is Mr. Ryan from For the Reds. So please welcome him in. Yes, Mr. Ryan, what's going on, brother?
Hi mate, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good, bro. We got to win. That's the most important thing, isn't it? That's the most important thing.
I mean, you can't really get any better than Richarlison scoring his first goal, taking his top off, and then literally 90 seconds later scoring the winner past him, can you? So, it was not a bad Sunday at all.
Yeah, that's true, bro. That's true. And the next guest, obviously, he's been on this channel numerous times from the olden days, and he came back recently. It's Antonis. Antonis, what's going on, bro?
What's going on?
You recovered after that game?
Man, do you know what? I came home and I was talking. I was like, honestly, I couldn't even hear myself think. Like the amount of emotion that I went through over 90 minutes was crazy.
Yeah, bro. Like it's Liverpool Football Club, innit? It's Liverpool Football Club. We're gonna talk about this first, guys. So just bear with me. It's about FSG again. The plane actually did happen yesterday, so let's talk about that first. Yeah. Mr. Kurdish and the crew have done this again. FSG out. Obviously, they put the other teams in there as well. How can we talk about this, Ryan? Because it's not just Liverpool that's got a problem now. I think it's the Red Sox and the Penguins, and every club they own and they're about to own, they're gonna have the same issues, and it looks like it ain't gonna stop anytime soon. Obviously, we know they got booed in Boston as well. After they didn't spend anything either.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's like the Red Sox, obviously the Penguins, and ourselves all seem to have more or less the same issue, which tells you it's more, FSG's model rather than obviously their their treatment of Liverpool Football Club. Yeah, obviously it's an interesting one. It's a shame, really, that we don't know when John's going to be at a game. Because I'd imagine Kurdish and them lot, if they'd have only been at the West Ham game, they'd have flew it over, obviously West Ham Stadium. Yeah. Makes sense to try and fly one over Anfield because you think, right, well, John's in the country. He's been at West Ham a couple of days before. Surely he's going to come to the home game. Obviously did his usual not turning up. So, it's one of them. Is it having the desired effect they want? Obviously, I'm not too sure. That's down to them. But for whatever reasons they want it as. Yeah. But you can't ignore the glaring issues and the big message that's coming out of every FSG owned club. Do you know what I mean? It's not just Liverpool fans who are angry on Twitter. It's Red Sox fans in actual Boston being angry and also being vocal about it now on social media. Again, the Penguins are getting the same treatment, so it's not just a Liverpool Football Club message; it's a universal message being sent out by those who are owned by FSG, isn't
it? It's tough, mate. It's tough when you keep I don't know, in a sense you could understand why these fans are doing it because they care, because they want investment in the club, and nice guys finish last, as I always say, guys. That's the whole point of all this, protest by the fans and fans' concerns and all that. Especially for a club the size of Liverpool. Liverpool is a massive club. We're not a small club. What I mean? We're not like those like someone like Southampton or Fulham or something like that. We're bigger than this. We're one of the best teams in the world. We sit in a table of Real Madrid and Barcelona and teams like that, and Bayern Munich. And if the owners don't share the same ambitions, you're going to get stuff like this, because how much more can we take? It's been a few years since we bought midfielders, and we're relying on injury-prone players. It's like the owners have said, There you go. Just until we get the finance right, you know, you could have these players, but the players are injury prone. Number one, number two, they're never available. Number three, we're playing kids out of position, and on top of that, those poor kids are getting, you know, bollocking on social media at the same time as well, which is unfair, if you know what I mean, because it's not their fault they're in that position. So there's a lot of things that's happening at the club that's not right. And if fans are sharing their concerns about it, I'm all for it, man. So what do you think, Antonis, man? Like, if you could hear me, I don't know what's happening. Something's not right in the microphone.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah, man. I mean, exactly the same as what you guys have kind of reiterated. It seems to be a recurring problem with the system that FSG have in place. It's something that we talked about a lot in the last live stream that I was on, and it's the system that they have in place that is causing these issues that we have. I mean, we have loads of aging players, and we need to sell players in order to buy players. And now the issue is that all the players that we have in this current squad that are young, we can't sell because they're vital to the future of this club. And all the players that we want to sell, which are older, are either running out of contracts or extremely reduced the value. So, you know, we have a terrible structure in place. And not only is that structure a terrible one to have for a top six club, but it's also being managed really badly. It's totally mismanaged. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, look at the Red Sox and the way that they're dealing with it. They're very, very vocal about it than Boston fans, man. They're crazy. They're very vocal about it on social media. When any press conference that John does in America or in Boston, they boo him in front of his face. And it's kind of good to see that accountability coming from the fans and kind of letting them know that, you know, what you're doing here isn't appreciated. Because I feel like there's a lot of Liverpool fans that feel the same way, but we're not as vocal about these issues. And I feel like it's because of the success that we've had in recent years. However, take Klopp out of the picture, I don't think there's any other manager that could have been able to replicate that success.
Exactly, that's what I said. It's highly impossible, guys. If you look at us before Klopp came, we was nowhere. We was like in the 8th position. It didn't look like we're going to progress anywhere. Whatever we was taken. That's how bad we was. Like, we was just saying, okay, we accept that. Now this manager has put us in a place that makes us one of the best teams in Europe. And if it wasn't for him, I don't think we'll be where we are. I'm being real with you guys, and you know, the people that say Klopp hat, you gotta have a long think about a lot of thought about that, because he got you back to where you belong, and he deserves more. He deserves better. He deserves the finance. He deserves everything coming his way. But he's such a nice guy. He's just, you know, backing the owners because that's what he signed up for in the beginning. You know, once you sign up for something, you can't go back on it, can you? So he's basically trapped in that, and that's why he never criticised the owners publicly, like Conte would have done if he was, you know, around. Yeah, but yeah, Kurdish and the rest of the guys, good luck with that, man. Obviously, I backed them for doing things like that. I wasn't expecting it yesterday. Nobody told me anything about it. And then again, I haven't been on social media for a while, but yeah. Big up, John. Big up, brother. Thank you for coming on, mate. Yeah, so we move on to the match, of course, guys. Let's move on to the match. Yeah, so 4-3 to Liverpool. We started off good, but we almost ended up bad. 7 points of 4th. So Antonis, what do you make out of the game, bro? How did we perform that badly? We were so open. We could have actually lost the game in the second half, bro. Like, it was that bad, and it was really worrying me. On my stream, like, I just lost the plot when Jota scored. I haven't done that for a long time, but they're gonna give me a heart attack one of these days. The way they're going, mate. I can't cope with this. I think this is the second game, like, we just scraped through at home. Nottingham Forest, I think it was the other one at home as well. So how much more can we take of this, mate? I know, like, we still got that glimpse of 4th place. But we have to cope whatever we're getting out, don't we, Antonis?
The good thing is that we're scoring goals, and we have moments where we're playing really good football. So that's what silver lining out of the situation.
Yep.
There's a lot of good things to take out of that performance, but there's also a lot of terrible things to take out of that performance as well.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the issues that we've had in Liverpool since I can remember, man, since being a fan, is just getting complacent and also concentration issues. You're 3-0 up in 15 minutes. Why do you get complacent? I don't understand it. And it's not only like they're getting complacent and they're just passing the ball around and trying to get to half time. Totally relaxed. Everybody shuts off. Literally every single person. We're not running as much. We're not as energetic. We're not pushing the ball forward at all. And you can't do that against teams like Tottenham, which are known for being one of the best counter-attacking football teams in the league, with players like Son, Kulusevski and Harry Kane up front. And let's not talk about the fact that they've got good players like Corbier in the midfield as well that can punish you when you come to play these type of games. And it was really frustrating to kind of see. And I think the fans picked it up straight away. Like within the 22nd minute, it was kind of really starting to get frustrated in Anfield. We were realising exactly what we were going to do. And as soon as they scored that 3-1, we're like, right, here we go again. And we went into half time. And the conversations were like, I don't know if we can get a win here. And we were 3-1 up. Do you know what I mean? So it was quite frustrating to see in that aspect, to know that we had a lot more in the tank and we didn't necessarily give it. But we managed to walk away with a win. Whether you want to admit it or not, Tottenham are in a bad spell, but they're a good team. They've got good players. It was a very vital win considering the situation that we're in with the table as well. So the fact that they managed to get their teeth a little bit and push through with the win was massive, but way too close.
Yeah, 100% right, bro. 100%. Ryan, what did you think of the game, bro? It was going so good, and then it went so bad.
I mean, yeah, it's obviously a mental game, weren't it? The way that it panned out as well. It this game and the Forest game has reminded me a little bit of do you remember 2017-18 when we really started to see what we were going to be under Klopp, like that first evolution, and we had the Arsenal away 3-3. And we had multiple high scoring games because it felt like again, and it's the same here, it feels like we're at Klopp 2.0 and we're really now starting to see the heavy metal stage where it's all gun-ho, we're scoring goals for fun, but then we're looking a little bit loose on the defence. And that's where he's been branded in the past with that heavy metal football. What he did with Liverpool 1.0 really well was find that balance between heavy metal up top, but also as solid as you can be at the back. Yeah. I think it's just teething issues of this new system of what we're going to see in the future. Do you know what I mean? Like yesterday, Andy Robertson's playing left-sided centre back, plays it for Scotland, which is a completely different entity. You're playing left centre back for Scotland, who are sitting in a back five for most of the time and don't have a lot of the ball. Yeah. Whereas here you're playing at Anfield in a back three. It ain't a back five. Curtis Jones isn't tucking in as a left back. It's a back three, turning to a back four if Trent drops in. But if not, you are defending most counter attacks as a back three. So again, that's a completely different world for him. There was at times where Ebu's getting pulled out to pretty much right back as well because of the new system. Virgil, rather than just having to dominate that left-hand channel, is now having to come over to the right-hand channel and play, in more areas that are foreign to him. So yeah. I think it was just teething issues. The 3-0 obviously is difficult. It's an awkward situation to be in. I was in it myself a couple of weeks ago with my own footy team, where we went away to a team that was second in the league and we were 3-0 up after 15 minutes, literally the same as Liverpool. And you sort of you stood around a bit how have we done this? How on earth has this happened? So then you get in this mode where you're like, well, what's been working has got us 3 goals. Do we keep doing it, but we're maybe susceptible to conceding? But then on the flip of the coin, you're also thinking, well, do we sit on our laurels? And like Anton said before about, do you just try and see it out to half time? But then you're surrendering your momentum. So then you're potentially giving up, that run that you've got, and obviously letting the other team in. So it can be a difficult scoreline at times. However, I think he's spot on about complacency. Just completely got in. They just relaxed. But not too relaxed. Obviously it's a football game; they're never going to be too relaxed. But I think they relaxed, thinking like, right, the 3 points is in the bag. We can now just sort of like work through things, forgetting that they've got Harry Kane, Kulusevski, Son, Højbjerg. They've got some seriously talented players. And yeah, I think a little bit of teething issues with the system, a little bit of complacency and forgetting who we were up against.
Yeah.
Just creeped in. But just like heavy metal Klopp in 17, 18, we've shown that resilience to get through and get the win. So, for me, there's more positive signs than negative signs.
Yeah, 100% right, man. Great. Nice one for saying that. The thing is, with us, like, what frustrated me in the beginning of the game, if you look at the starting lineup, there's two kids with Fabinho, you know what I mean? And there's not enough legs around him, because I don't expect Jones and Harvey Elliott to run up and down that midfield. They started off good the first half, I agree, 100%. But it's maintaining that. That's what these two young players have to get used to. Don't get me wrong, Curtis Jones scored a goal. Harvey Elliott had like a few moments. But don't you think, Antonis, it was just too many changes for one game? Like, we underestimated Tottenham's, quality to change that much for this game?
Yes and no, to be honest, because like obviously the change of Diaz coming in I think he was like the highlight of our team. That kind of Jota playing on the left hand side worked so well for us because of what a clinical finisher he is. But we really missed that ability of Luis Diaz being able to collect the ball and run up and dribble past the player, and that electric pace that we haven't really seen since like that Diaz and Mane link up when Mane used to play in the midfield. And we kind of saw Curtis Jones really complement that style of football as well. He played really hard pressing that allowed Diaz the space to kind of go further up. And I think Curtis Jones played a really good game while he was on the pitch. However, on the other hand, putting Harvey Elliott into a game like this, where they've got really tough midfielders like Højbjerg and the rest of them, off the top of my head, I can't really remember right now. But Elliott did struggle in that kind of dominant midfield that Tottenham like to play when it comes to the counter-attacking football. So I think the Elliott change was a bit of a risk. You kind of would have wanted someone a bit more mature and a bit more of an engine on him, like you say, Fozzie. But at the same time, saying that, I thought when Henderson came on, he was not a very good he wasn't a very positive change that came on. And I don't know what it is this year, because it's not necessarily that Klopp. I think Klopp has been a bit inconsistent with his with who he brings on, and I think they haven't always worked. But you would expect Henderson to come into this game and play really well, but I don't think he did. So I don't know if it's a matter of opinion. I don't know what the situation is, but I just think that Henderson was just a bit flatline, and he kind of at moments killed the momentum of the game. Like there was one moment when we were a 3-on-3, and he turned backwards when he was by himself. He had all the space in the world. He turned backwards, then turned back forwards, and then put a pass in and absolutely killed the momentum of our counter-attack. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. I think there needs to be a kind of it was a kind of combination of Klopp's decision making for the changes and the substitutions, but also players needing to take accountability of not playing their best brand of football either. You're on mute, Fozzie.
My bad. Yeah, Ryan, same goes for you, brother. So what did you think of the formation and the players that's being put forward for this game? I think it was just too many changes. I could do with probably 2 max, but it's just like, Konate, especially when Matip had a good game against West Ham. I would have rested Van Dijk if he's in one, you know what I mean? But yeah, what do you think, Ryan, mate?
Same. I agree and I disagree. I agree in the sense of I felt like it was probably 1 too many. I think if Ibu and Diaz comes in, you're probably like really happy. And like you say, I don't want to pinpoint Harvey as the one and like try and make him a scapegoat. No. He's young, isn't he? So, yeah. Ibu for Matip makes sense because Ibu and Virgil have played the majority of the games in this new system, and they're obviously your 2 starting centre halves.
Yeah.
Diaz makes sense because obviously it's a chance to get him his first start after a few sub appearances, and again, he's probably your first choice left winger. So then you're going into that centre mid and you're thinking, really you probably want one of the youngsters of Curtis and Harvey in there, maybe not both. And to be fair, maybe the plan wasn't to play both until Thiago got obviously injured and out of the squad, because I think it was late.
I don't know what happened there, man. That's a strange one.
Yeah, so maybe it was a case of that, because you also can't obviously burn Henderson out. And I agree that when he came on, he weren't the calming influence that I thought he was going to be. I thought the idea was him to come on, press up hard, stop Tottenham being able to play those constant balls into midfield, and then when he's got the ball, just to give it and go, like he does well, to be fair, and just calm us down. But he didn't. He had the opposite.
He done the opposite.
The opposite effect. But yeah, like I say, maybe it was one too many changes. And I'd imagine the team probably won't have that many changes again come Fulham on Wednesday night. From that team, you're probably looking at Elliott comes out, and then one of Henderson or Thiago, whoever's fit, probably goes in. And then other than that, I'd imagine they'll try and keep the team, roughly the same.
Yeah, because like you look at the team. Although some people have already given up on the actual top four, but you never know what's going to happen. It only takes a couple of slip-ups, isn't it? Until you're back in it. It's only 7 points now, although Man United have a game in hand. Wouldn't it be brilliant, taking over Man United in the Champions League spot at the end of the season? That would be funny, wouldn't it, man?
That'd be amazing.
Oh man, I hope it happens, but you never know. Yeah. You know what's upsetting? No matter what we do, each time we win, or the other teams win, we lose, they lose. You know what I mean? It's never consistent. If you look at our games now, I think we won 4 in a row, right? 4 in a row, I think we won, and I think they've won as well. So it's never like when they lose, we win or anything like that. That's what's upsetting me more than anything at the moment. But listen, anything can happen. Anything can happen. It's still 5 games to go for us, and I think they got Man United got 6. So yeah, anything can happen along the way. So what do you guys think of the performances of individually, like Van Dijk? Are you worried, Ryan? Because I'm starting to worry about Van Dijk now, and he's making errors that's not that he doesn't normally do now. Yeah. If you look at the first goal, Perisic just went down the left. Nobody challenged him. He caught up with him, then he just lost his legs. It was weird. That's unlike Van Dijk. I was expecting him to push him out, towards the left, so he doesn't put the crosses in. So it was like he was panicking getting back as well. But that's not the first time he did this. If you look at the West Ham game, that Bowen scored a goal that was disallowed. He was jogging back while Bowen is going towards the box. Why don't you sprint so you could push him out to the actual corner flag or something like that, instead of letting him come in the box? He's doing something out of his character now, man, and I'm starting to worry about that. I don't know what you guys are thinking about it.
I think obviously Virgil spoke a lot about that he thinks he's played too much football since his ACL. And obviously he did an interview the other day where he was saying he knows he's not been at his usual best standards. I think before we judge Virgil, I think we need to try and make sure we get that third centre back in the summer so that he can have that rotation. Because it's not just the ACL, it's also obviously his age. He is getting I think he's in his 30s now after an ACL, which probably puts roughly a season or 2 on you in the sense of how you feel. Yeah. And if we're going to be playing Thursdays, Sundays next season, which is looking likely, then ideally you don't want Virgil to touch any of those Thursday nights. Yeah. So fingers crossed he'll be playing Sunday to Sunday. And I think if you have that situation where he's got 5 to 6 days rest and he can stay out of the European squads, then you've got a more suitable Virgil, rather than playing obviously like he did the other day, Wednesday night away at Fulham. Wednesday night away at West Ham. Then he's coming in obviously Sunday against Tottenham. Probably going to have to play Wednesday against Fulham. So you're then looking at literally in the case of a week, he's played 3 games, which is probably far too much for a player of his age after an ACL injury, and also the physical makeup of his body. Obviously, he's not small, he's not skinny, is he? It's a lot of power that goes into his body, a lot of strain on it. So I'd imagine the club situation and Jurgen's thoughts now are get through these last 5 games, obviously get him through to pre-season, give him sort of like probably a tailored pre-season to try and get rest within there, but also manage that injury a little bit better, and find that adequate centre half who can come in and perform. If you can get another Ibu Kanate, you're happy then, aren't you?
Yeah.
Like if you've got two Ibus, you can then go and play, the Europa League with a Joe Matip or a Joe Gomez, and then you've got Virgil and one of the two Ibus, for every Sunday for your Premier League squads. You're in a good situation there, then, aren't you? So I wouldn't worry about him too much. Let's decrease the workload and see if he's still making the same mistakes. If he is, obviously that probably spells, we know his career is coming to an end. If not, and the rest is helping him, we know how to manage the best centre back in the world, then, don't we?
Yeah, same goes for you, Antonis, man. Are you worried about him, or you think he's overplayed?
I agree with everything Ryan said. It's just one of those situations where he's been played way too much, and I think that injury, people don't really understand what type of injury the ACL is and how detrimental it can be to football players. I mean, up until 15 years ago, that was career-ending. Do you know what I mean? It's only because of science and doctors and stuff like that we've even been able to come close to bringing players back to a top level. And even still, it's still like only a 30, 40, maybe 50% success rate of coming back from an injury like that, which, the odds are kind of against you in that situation. And one thing that people really don't understand is, like Ryan said, the stature of Virgil van Dijk. He's 6'5" and 3/4 or whatever he is. He's 90 odd kilos, and he's got really long legs as well. So that center of gravity is really high on those knees. So the amount of pressure that they are taking when he's chopping down, when he's sprinting, when he's decelerating as well, is extremely high in comparison to just your 5'10" average person. And on the other hand, I think he is being played way too much, because I've done my ACL as well. So I know.
Told me that,
yeah, and I play American football, and I can tell you, I come home from a game and my knee is just buzzing. Like, I can feel it pulsating, and it swells up after a game. You go home, you ice it, and for 2-3 days you're not the same. So Virgil van Dijk, if he's going through something similar and he's being played way too much, he's probably at the point which he's like, I've got to play again. You know what I mean? And that's causing a lot of mental concentration issues in the game, because a lot of the problems that we're seeing on the pitch aren't necessarily his ability and his capability. That's not the issue. We all know what he's capable of. It's him not making the right decisions because he doesn't have that same confidence.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that same belief. He doesn't have that same burst of energy that he used to have due to injury. And I think as well, we need big investment in that kind of centre back role, because I can see Gomez kind of shifting towards that right back kind of backup position. I can't see a world in my head where he kind of stays in that centre back role and fits himself in as a centre back.
He's not centre back. Nah.
Especially the kind of formation that we're now transitioning to, the amount of pressure that those centre backs are taking. Or maybe he could play that right-sided centre back like Kanate does, where he kind of drifts out wide. I don't know. I'm not Klopp. But I think you need 4 starting caliber centre backs, and then maybe a Gomez behind them that can kind of play both positions. Because Kanate is, I believe he's the future of this club. I think Virgil van Dijk, as Ryan said, needs to be rested. He can't be playing those European games and FA Cup games. I think he's strictly a Premier League player from now on. And then you've got Matip that's extremely injury prone. And so you need another maybe 1 or 2 centre backs that you can say, okay, if Kanate does go down, and if Kanate and Matip do go down at the same time, which we have seen happen twice, I think, before, and 3 times with Gomez going down at the same time, you need to know you have 2 other centre backs that can come straight in. Do you know what I mean? Because we are playing 60, 70 games a season. So I would much rather have 4 starting centre backs and then get 30 games a season each, rather than just have 3, and when 2 of them get injured, we're having to play Fabinho and Henderson at centre back all over again.
Yeah, spot on, bro. Uncle Rod says, please go subscribe if you're watching to Uncle Rod's channel. He's an amazing content creator. Much appreciated, mate. He says, big up LFC Red Forever, big up panel chat. Thank you, brother. But with Virgil, I've always said it, like you guys said, it's just too many games. Klopp has the tendency of doing that. He did that with Hummel at Dortmund, as I remember. He just plays the ones he trusts the most. This is why probably majority of the players that he's got are already like breaking down, like the likes of Henderson. You got Virgil, you got Robertson as well. That's the next person I'm coming up to. I think 2 of the goals came from him, from his silly passes. To be honest, does Robertson needs a long rest, or like in the sense of is Tsimikas strong enough to replace him for like 4 or 5 games? On and off the season, if you know what I mean, guys, because it doesn't look like Tsimikas is getting a look in. Even when he plays good, the next game he doesn't play, which is kind of strange to me when I look at that. So what do you think, Ryan? Like, if you look at Robertson, he's hot and cold. I like the Robertson when he's got the ball, he's direct and he goes on that left side. He steps up goals and he takes on people. And then you get other games, he just sits at the back and just does some silly passes, which is it's hot and cold. He's not consistent anymore. Am I seeing it differently, guys, or are you guys seeing the same thing, Ryan?
No, I think you're right. I remember making a video. I think it was like Boxing Day, obviously last year, about Robbo. I touched on Robbo in it, just saying I do worry about the future of him. I think on the ball, I think this system helps him slightly a little bit because his actual build-up play when he receives the ball off Ale or Virgil, it's not too bad. He does have quite a decent pass completion rate in that sort of build-up phase. My issue is I've seen such a regression since the middle of last season in his defensive side. He seems to be so afraid now to go and engage the way that he used to do, and that high press, that high energy. Because I remember at times, he'd be like literally be in the opposition corner flag, pressing their right back. And to be fair, he did it yesterday against Tottenham, but that same enthusiasm had happened wherever he was in the pitch. Yeah. If there was a striker coming in, into his box, he'd still be on the front foot, he'd still be engaging. Whereas there's been too many times now over these past, 6 to 12 months where the defending just seems more standoffish, more fearful. Obviously, the team's been going through a rough spell. You're gonna take a confidence hit. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. And I don't think for 1 second that Andrew Robertson's someone that you go, oh, you know what? If we get a bid for in the summer, we'll sell. Not a chance. Not a chance in hell. However, especially the change of formation, you can now see why there was articles a few months ago saying that we're also looking for a left-sided centre back. It makes sense. One, because of obviously the rotation with Robertson, but 2, if that is going to be a back 3 of 3 centre halves, similar to what City do now when they line up with like Ake as the left back, I'd imagine we want to be in a situation next season where, I'm not saying it'll be this player, but for an example, a Vardiol. So your back line is Trent, Virgil, Kanate, Vardiol kind of thing. Yeah. And then that swings round as a 3, and obviously Trent moves in. I think we'd all probably feel a little bit more comfortable if that was another left-sided centre-back rather than a left-back being shoehorned in. Someone said,
was it Indikia? Is it Indikia? That
yeah, you've got Indikia.
He could play left-back and he could play as a centre-back as well. So someone like that, do you think someone like that is the best option?
I think that makes sense, doesn't it? And again, the links to Vardy make sense because that is literally the role that he's been doing for Leipzig over the past 12 to 18 months.
But don't you think Vardy is a bit too expensive, Ryan? Like they want over 100 million from him.
Yeah, I don't think he moves this summer. To any club. I think Leipzig and him are happy to stay there for the year. I'd imagine we're probably looking at a Colwill from Brighton or an Accio from Sporting Lisbon. Yeah. That left-footed, left-sided centre half, comfortable on the ball, can step into the middle and play. Yeah. Because you also have to remember as well, once we do start to really solidify this formation and know how to play it on the ball and off the ball, we're probably going to go back to where teams would find most joy of crossing the ball against us. And if that's the case, it's going to be Robertson who's at your back post, and that's where strikers are going to pull off. You'd rather a tall left-sided centre back at your back post defending crosses rather than Robbo. So even looking into like the long term, I just think I don't think he's there to go and be replaced straight away, and I think he's more than still capable of playing Premier League games, and Europa League games, etc. next season.
Yeah.
However, I do think the club plan on the next 6 to 12 months of him not being that starting left-sided centre back anymore.
Yeah. So what do you think, Antonis, about Robertson this season so far? To me, it's up and down, and it's just getting frustrating with me. I'm just getting frustrated with him at the moment, mate.
Yeah. I think one thing to kind of note when you talk about Robertson is kind of looking at Tsimikas first, because Tsimikas is fantastic when we play a back four and you let him kind of play that free roaming, go up and kind of play with the midfield and link up with the wingers as well. And he's really good at that. But unfortunately, he is a tiny guy. Like I've seen him in real life as well. He is so slim. He's so slender. I don't think there's any way where he can play that left-sided centre-back the same way that Robertson does. Yeah. And that's why, especially the last couple of months, we haven't even seen him get looked at when it comes into giving Robertson a break. But before that, especially just after that Christmas period, we saw him get minutes here and there and even a game and all of that stuff. And I think one of the main issues that we've had as a team as of late is reliability and age. And I think because of Fabinho and because of Robertson, how reliable they have been and how little they've been injured, they have seen extraordinary minutes. Exactly. I've looked at the amount of minutes that they've played in the last 4 seasons. That both Robertson and Fabinho have played over 3,000 minutes per season. Do you know what I mean? And I think we're starting to see a burnout from those 2 players this season. Yeah. I don't think the ability's gone. The ability's still there. It doesn't disappear overnight. And it's not like Virgil where they're the wrong side of 30. They're both 29. This should be the best. Statistically speaking, 29 and 30 years old should be the best football that they are able to play. However, they're unable to translate that because of the amount of minutes that they've had to play the last couple of seasons. Yeah. And I do agree with kind of bringing in that Guardiola that can play that left back and also centre back, kind of the same way that we have Gomez on the other side.
Yeah.
But again, they're not easy players to find. And when you do find them, they've got massive price tags because left-sided centre-backs, especially left-footed, or even like Guardiola, where he's kind of that almost ambidextrous. He can play with both feet and he can fit in those defensive systems, but also those play out of the back systems as well. So it's kind of, they're not just like, you don't just grab them off a tree. They're extremely unique players. Mm-hmm. And when you do find them, they're very expensive because of it. So unfortunately, this is where it kind of ties back into FSG, because, we are potentially, you've got exciting players like Bajatic and Kanate and stuff like that. We are potentially a strong number 8 that can also play that defensive responsibility, and a left-sided centre-back like Guardiola away from kind of building that same team around that same team. Because I feel like if we did bring Guardiola in, it was like what it was when we brought Van Dijk in for £75 million. That is the type of team you can build around him. And I think next to Kanate, oh my goodness, you're looking at a dream. Because when we brought Van Dijk in, we didn't have really good centre-backs to pair him up with. Do you know what I mean? But if you do bring Guardiola in now, you have Robertson that can defend on the left side. So he's got that cover there. And you've got Kanate, which has arguably been one of our best players this season, bar the injuries. So... I don't know. This is where you kind of just want FSG to be like, this is the player you want. Okay, this is the player we're going to do. It ain't going to
happen though, is it? Like you guys make great points as always. I mean, you guys are great on here. I've always said it, like this thing we're doing at the moment with these players is it's going to take time. No matter what we do, we're forgetting. I said it on my stream yesterday on the live watch along. We're forgetting the bond those players had, the ones that left with this team, like Shaqiri's, Origi's, Takimi Minamino, Wijnaldum's, Mane. All these guys had a bond in this team. So when new players come in, it will take time for them to, have that bond again, all togetherness. Do you remember when we used to watch, This is Anfield, or the thing on YouTube, when they watch the trainings and in the cafeteria, they're all mucking about, they're all joking about every single time. Happy camp makes a happy team. You know what I mean? Things like that. Like, we need to get back to that. But the thing is, if you look at Diaz and Nunes, they they don't have, what do you call it, the language, you know what I mean? So it's hard to communicate with them on and off the pitch. So if you're on the pitch and they don't understand what you're saying, if you're telling them run left, they might run right, you know what I mean? So it's a bit difficult for them to understand how everything works around the formation we're playing, and you know, the communication from the players they're playing with as well. So I agree with you guys, you know what I mean? It was always going to take us time to get you know, this team going again. But I believe next season we're going to be even better than this season, and Europe or with Europe, I think we're still going to compete for the title next season as well, guys. With Robertson, I think he needs a long rest. He definitely needs a long rest, because like you said, Antonis, he's been burned out for years, and I did say in the beginning of the actual chat, Klopp has this tendency of the players he relies on, he plays them too much, and you can see what's happening. I mean, that can affect players in the long term. So he needs to learn from that, like going forward. When you got these type of players, take your time with them. Give them game here and game there. Like, you don't have to keep playing them at 10 games in a row. We don't need that. You know what I mean? You should have enough quality in that team to, you know, at least accommodate them for certain games. You know what I mean? Like, you could put players in a certain game because they fit that kind of system we're playing, something along those lines. So don't rush players and all that stuff. Yeah. So Connor says that was good match yesterday. Well done, Liverpool. I think Connor's a Man United fan, guys. So just to let you know, the enemy's in the house, but he's okay. He's a good guy. So next person, obviously, I want to move on to Konate. I feel for this guy. I'll tell you why. I feel for him because he's doing two jobs, which is a right back and a centre back position at the moment, and it's affecting his game. If you look at him now, he's making more mistakes than he ever did before. You know what I mean? And when you're running to the right back position from your centre back position, you're gonna be leaving a big gap in the middle, and this is why we're conceding chances now. I've always said it. I've said it in the last streams. Like I said, Trent, I love this new position he has, but that's good for away games. The home games, he should go back to his right back position and play, you know, as we do. Because if you look at our home form, we only lost one game. We've won majority of it, haven't we, this season, Antonis? I think, yeah. So why do we have to play that inverted right-sided defender in these type of games at home, when we could just play that away and then just go back to normal when we're playing at home?
It's a real tough one, man, because I think, you know what, especially when it comes to Konate, I think I just want to vouch for him here, because besides the fact that he made a couple of mistakes against Tottenham, I think he played a phenomenal game. I think he had some crucial interceptions. He had some crucial moments one-on-one where he won his tackles, even though he was already on a yellow card. So he had to play really smart football there. And also, his aerial duels was not talked about enough. He won crucial headers against players like Harry Kane in those long balls. And if he didn't win those aerial duels, it could have been a totally different game. We could have lost, let alone draw or just scrape a win. So I think he did play a really good game, bar a couple of mistakes. And as you said, yeah, it is kind of weird, because I think he has the biggest adaptation out of all of them. Able to make a move like playing Trent in that midfield, you need to have a really good centre defensive midfielder that can break up those counter-attacks, which, whether we like to admit it or not, Fabinho is not at his best, and he just doesn't seem to be able to keep up with the game. As we talked about, based on the amount he's played, we don't really think that's his fault. He is burnt out. And then also behind Konate, when he does move on to that right back, you've got Van Dijk. And if what we is saying is true, based on Van Dijk being burnt out, there's injuries, there's confidence issue because of it, Konate knows that in the back of his head. So he's thinking, if I make a mistake here, we're done. Do you know what I mean? So I think he's taking on a lot of pressure, but he is doing a very good job of it. I don't think there's a player that could do a better job at it. Because if Van Dijk's playing at his best, and if Fabinho's playing at his best, with those three players kind of playing that triangle of defense, I think this new formation of Trent being able to play midfield works phenomenally. But again, it is a long-term project, and we are at the start of Liverpool 2.0, as everyone's been saying. But I think what's the scariest thing about it is we don't know if we have Klopp longer than 2 years. And if that's the case, then we'll be seeing a third rebuild 2 years down the line, which is kind of worrying us all.
Yeah, especially with the finance we got. Go on, Ryan. What do you think of Mr. Konate's performances recently? Like I said, it's not his fault. It's not his fault. Like, he's playing two positions, the guy, and it's going to take us toll in a minute.
Yeah, I think obviously you make the move to Liverpool last year, so then you've got to learn about obviously playing in that 4-3-3 system the way that we played, whilst also obviously learning about being in a new country, new teammates, new team, everything that comes with it. You have a season where you go and put a man of the match in the Champions League and you miss out on it. You also then miss out on the Premier League on pretty much the last day, by a mad 10-minute spell at the Etihad. You then go and lose the World Cup final after putting a man of the match display in the semi-final. So you've got a lot of adversity that you've come up against as such a young lad. Mm-hmm. And then you're also having a difficult season with your club side. It's your season where you're having a fair few little injuries as well, which you're obviously stopping momentum. And now you're also coming back into it and being asked to learn a brand new system and a new way of playing. I think, he's had a lot thrown at him at such a young age. And, if we look at it, when you actually do put it all down like that in black and white, so far, he's dealt with it probably the best way that he could. Yeah. He's still young. He's obviously going to make mistakes. I mean, we thought Virgil van Dijk was perfect and, could never make a mistake. And then now obviously that's starting to creep into his game, just to remind everyone that it is human. People do make mistakes. So I think it is. I think it's just a case of age, learning a new system, obviously everything that's been thrown at him, over the past couple of months. And yeah, I think again, he's just another player who's going to benefit from hopefully this season finishing strong, get through to pre-season. We can all regroup, get the sufficient cover of midfield that we need in front of those back lines. And I just think you'll see a different him and a different Virgil next season when they get that sufficient midfield in front. They have a rest, they switch off, and hopefully they get another centre-half thrown in there to rotate with.
Yeah, it's been a long season, 100%. It's been a long season. Andrew says, big up everyone. Let me just go through the comments. Crazy game yesterday. Uncle Rod says, for the Reds talk, a lot of facts. Big up, bro, he's saying to you. K-Mac says, I don't know why Gomez doesn't play there. He started at LFC as a left back. 100%. I don't understand. With certain games, you could play Gomez as a right back. Just put Trent is a third, like in the free midfield. You don't have to make it complicated for everyone. Just Gomez is not a bad fullback in my opinion. He's just a bad centre back. That's the only thing I got for him. Levy Colwell is the player we can get. He can do both. Oh, okay, Levy Colwell. Sorry about that. K-Mac says neither of those players are not playing, so I don't understand your point. Okay. I don't know what he's referring to. What's he referring to exactly?
Sure. Yeah. Which players?
I don't know. I have no idea at all, bro. No worries, Ryan. So we're gonna move on to the next thing, which is this, guys. I didn't understand it. Klopp was upset during the game and after the game that this referee is always getting at him. So let's look at this next. Yeah, so the red, supposed red cards. So you look at the first one, which is at the bottom. Apparently, from pundits and all the media outlets, that's not a red card. From Skip on DS, I don't know what they're watching. Sometimes I think to myself, it ain't about football anymore. It just ain't about football anymore. Didn't even at the top one, if you look at Jota's one, didn't Haaland do something similar not so long ago? And they said it wasn't a sending off. You know what I mean? So it's a weird one. So Antonis, what do you think of this, mate? Like, and especially Portini and Jurgen Klopp. Why is a guy who's from Manchester refereeing our games? First of all, that's what I don't understand. And second of all, every single time he referees a game, we're on the edge of our seats. Every single time we worry because he might make a bad decision. So what do you think what Klopp said about him after the game? And we'll start with, obviously, these challenges. Are they red cards or not?
First of all, the challenge at the bottom with Skip, which I think Skip played a phenomenal game, by the way, for Tottenham. Well, okay, they conceded 3 goals really quick, but other than the 3 goals, I think Skip was one of their best players. You know, he stopped Salah going through 1-on-1 with Forster, which is their second goalkeeper, and he played a really, really dominant game in that midfield, stopping that attack, especially breaking up Gakpo's build-up play. Yeah. So, you know, if he gets a red card there, totally different game for Tottenham as well. But whether it's a red card or not even a yellow card was given, and that is 110% a yellow card. So again, regardless of what you believe, if it's a red card or not, the referee still made the wrong decision.
Yeah.
And I think we've seen red cards being given for tackles like that. I mean, studs straight onto the ankle. If that's any higher, you could be looking at a potential broken leg. Yeah. But then at the same time, same goes for us, where Lucky Jota was on the field, because in my head, I was thinking he's going to get sent off here. And especially after looking at the replay and seeing that his leg actually did make contact in quite a dangerous place by the orbital bone in the temple, that is quite a clear red card as well. So again, two terrible mistakes from there. And where I want to get back to kind of with the Klopp thing is that Klopp should be allowed to kind of speak his mind. If he thinks that someone has an agenda against him, then he should be able to kind of voice that the same way that, you know, anybody else would be in general life. I understand that there's a certain professionalism that needs to come with managers and players and stuff like that. But I think it's really hypocritical that managers can't voice their concerns about referees' bad decisions. However, referees don't even need to be held accountable for consistently bad games, but also highly controversial decisions. And I've been saying this for 3-4 years now. The thing that needs to be implemented, ever since VAR came, I said that the thing that needs to be implemented in the Premier League is referees giving post-match interviews. Yeah. They need to be explained. The decisions need to be explained. They need to be reviewed. And if they made a mistake, absolutely fine, saying, you know what, heat of the moment, I made a mistake. Let's move on. But then again, like you said, another Manchester referee, 80-something% of referees in UK are either from Manchester or from London. Tension that creates of 85 or so % referees being from 2 cities, major cities as well, not just any old cities. Do you know what I mean? The rivalries that come from those 2
Wasn't he the ref who Rodri last season, Everton? I swear he was the ref, that penalty when Rodri handled the ball. I'm 100%. I'll get it up.
Yeah, he was.
Is that the Wolves penalty you're talking about?
No, Everton. The one that cost us.
Oh, I'm not sure.
No, there was a handball at Everton last season. End of season, who was challenging for the title. Rodri, Man City player, handled it, and they didn't even view the VAR for it. He done it. Well, you could say he done it intentionally as well. Ryan, before you go for it, mate. What do you think of this the stuff that's happening?
Obviously, you know not to get me started on referees. I'm currently serving a 3-match ban for my behaviour towards referees. So, yeah.
Let's take him off, man.
I think. Listen.
I'm joking.
So they were saying about Diaz's one that it's not a red card because he gets part of the ball. Yeah. However, we were told with Casemiro's a couple of weeks ago that any connection with the ball doesn't matter as long as the tackle isn't under control. So, I mean, if you can watch that back, let alone the still image, if you can watch that skip challenge back and tell me that he was under control of that tackle, you are like, football is not the sport for you. And then completely spot on about the Jota one. The Jota one is a red card. It's a definite red card. Again, under no control of, going to receive the ball. He's probably been helped out by the fact that Skip stoops down a little bit. Yeah. Regardless, if Skip doesn't stoop down, Jota's foot's still there. It's still under control, and it's just going into his chest rather than going into his face. So again, it's still out of control. It's still a red card offence. But it went, for me, those 2 decisions are bad decisions, and for the fact that they both went to VAR, who, by the way, VAR was David Coote, so that says it all. You've literally got the worst 2 referees in the league and paired them up. But for me, the bigger issue was the again the refereeing that Paul Tierney has shown in a Liverpool game. I was at the Wolves game a couple of weeks ago, and he was awful. And I was walking past his hotel as he was getting out of his taxi. Like literally, I was like from here to where my poster is away from him, and I was like, "Is it a criminal offence if I just go and deck him in the face?" Like, probably is, maybe. But it's another game where he's shown another poor standard. I don't want to be the one, to say it, and it's people that allege it, but his treatment towards Mo Salah,
it's awful.
That's starting to look a little bit suspicious. And again, I'm not saying anything, but to me, it's looking a little bit more deeper than football, if I'm going to be brutally honest. I think his treatment towards Salah is just a pure and utter disgrace. And as Klopp says after the game, and so I said, he's completely in his right to go and voice those concerns, because again, it is another game that's involved Paul Tierney. It's another game where he's been under bad review from everybody. It's another Liverpool game where he's shown a clear inept ability to referee our games. Do you know what I mean? Like at what point do we go, it's just coincidence and it's not something else? Do you know what I mean? Because like I say, it's the Wolves game. It's Tottenham at home. It's Tottenham away. There's an article that I've retweeted on my Twitter that's all these issues that he's had with us since 2017. Do you know what I mean? And then, like you said before, Foz, the handball last season at Everton, clear as day handball by Rodri. The PGMO actually came out and apologised for him not making the right decision. Again, how many times are they going to apologise for it? Every single week they seem to be apologising for a different referee. And Paul Tierney's rocked up a fair few apologies. So again, how far does it go before the bloke just gets reviewed and goes, listen, you ain't good enough at your job. It's as clear as day. Let's bring in someone new. Do you know what I mean? I don't get how this specific ref keeps getting away with such abysmal performances. And not even just for us, by the way.
Yeah, of course, 100%. Are you going now, Ryan, or are you staying?
Yeah, I've got to shoot.
Bro. No worries, man. Thanks for coming on, bro. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Take care, bro.
Just to add on what Ryan said as well, though, it's not even the fact that, how much they're getting away with as referees and how many consistently bad performances they're putting in. But it's also really hypocritical at how quick they are to punish anybody that criticizes it.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. You're spot on. You're spot on. It really it frustrates me to the extent that Klopp had to say something after the game, and he put himself in a bad situation. If you know what I mean, Anthony. That's what I felt sorry for him after the interview he had yesterday. But like you said, it's time. They get paid enough. They're bigger and strong enough now. They're professionals now. They're no more school teachers doing referees anymore. They should be like the rest of us on TV explaining their decisions on the pitch. It's high time, because they get paid enough, bro. You know what I mean? How much more can fans... Look how many teams get relegated. Look how many teams don't win titles because of decisions like that as well. You know what I mean? Look how many teams don't make the top 4 because of things like that. You know what I mean? You got to think about it. And the league position you finished during the season as well gets you that more money. And they make those mistakes on a consistent basis, and nobody says anything about it because they are the referees. But like I said, man, too many Manchester referees refereeing Liverpool games. It's too suspicious for me. We're challenging for titles. We're challenging for top 4. Their bad decisions actually cost us, and season in, season out. That's why everybody says about Liverpool, when we go head to head with teams, Antonis, we never win. There's a reason we don't win, because bad decisions happen in our games. And this is go on, bro.
I mean, I was just gonna, I just agree with everything you say, and I think, as I said, the fact that a very big majority of the referees in the UK come from 2 cities is really, really controversial enough. I mean, you don't have to date back long to see kind of the issues that we've had with referees. From a referee that elbowed Robertson in the face, yet somehow the investigation just brushed over. Then you go to last season where Mane scored a beautiful goal against Everton to win us the game. That was ruled over by VAR. Next thing you know, the VAR, the person that was responsible for VAR, you go back to his Facebook, his profile picture in 2010 is him in a Man United top. Do you know what I mean? You can't have the majority of the referees coming from two cities, especially when it's such an easy profession. And I don't mean referees have it easy. That's not what I'm saying. But it's so easy to attract people into refereeing.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? The amount of people that are professional football players and youth academies, all of these things, semi-professionals, they go all the way and they don't make it. Do you know how easy it is to transition into refereeing? You know the game inside out. It's all you've done your whole life. They get paid very, very handsomely as well. So I don't understand how the managers are professionals, the coaching staff are professionals, all the football players on that pitch are professionals. So are the referees. However, the referees are the only ones that can make terrible mistakes that can cost the game and aren't the ones giving the interviews at the end of the game.
It's pathetic.
You know, Trent has a howler. He's got to give a post-match interview. Tierney has a howler. Nothing. Brushed over. Someone criticizes him. Oh, you know what? FA charges. Oh, come on, man.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, bro. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's high time, like I said, the Premier League does something about that. For the sake of their league, if you know what I mean, Anthony. Because it's not right. It's, you know, like finishing in league positions is hard enough competing with these rich teams, and then you got bad referees on top of that as well. You know what I mean? It doesn't get any easier for teams, bro. You know what I mean? Like I said, a lot of teams lose positions in leagues because of their decisions, and it's not right, man. It's not right. Some teams actually get relegated and even liquidated, so they don't even exist anymore because of bad decisions like this. It's ridiculous, man. Absolutely ridiculous. Football Century says, absolutely, fellas. Thanks for coming on, everyone, by the way. 100% agreed with Anthony's refs being held unaccountable. 100%. Mr. Uncle Rod says, facts, Ryan. He loves Ryan, man. Yeah, so we're going to move into the, obviously, player ratings now, just to end the stream. Man, I've done so many Anthony's, man. So many, bro. It's too much now. And I'll leave you to that. So I'm going to do something after that as well, just to end it. So we're going to start with, obviously, Alisson. So let's get the player ratings up. There we go. All right. Let me get it up, mate. Should be this one. Yeah, there you go. Player ratings, yeah. So what do you give Alisson, mate?
6.
Yeah. I'm not going to disagree with that.
I even think I'm being generous.
3 goals like that. Nah. Yeah, the one, especially Richarlison's one, man. Like I know it went over him, but I don't know, man. Sometimes
it doesn't matter if it went over him. He hesitated. I mean, he sees the cross coming in. You see him go out and then stop in his trap.
Stops, yeah,
and then runs back. That was terrible decision making. I mean, Harry Kane's one. I know he went under his legs. There's not much he could have done, but I think he didn't do enough to make himself a big body. And when they only really have 3 shots on target and you concede 3 goals, and we were so lucky to hit like 4 woodworks, but I think 2 of them were offside or 1 of them was offside. He didn't really have much to do.
Yeah.
We still conceded 3 goals. So
at least save one of them, innit? At least save one of them. That would be.
At the end of the day, he has been by far our best player this season. I am criticizing him because I don't think he had a good game, but at the end of the day, you know, when you put everything into perspective, he still is one of our most important players. He just didn't have a good game today, unfortunately.
100%. Robertson.
I want to give him like I kind of want to talk about Robertson because I think he really did have a tough task. I think he was going against really electric players, like Son and Kulusevski were interchanging on those wings, but he did make a crucial mistake in his marking for that first goal for Tottenham, which did kind of change the whole tempo of the game. I'm gonna give him another 6. I think when you concede 3 goals as a defense, I think it's kind of hard to give anybody anything higher, really. Yeah. And I think I'm going to give the same to Virgil. 8 for.
It's just 1 to 8. Yeah. 2 of the goals, I blame him for it, mate. 2 of the goals, 100%. His positioning is bad. Sometimes he dwells on the ball for far too long. Just get rid of the ball, man. Don't play about with it, mate. Just get rid of it. Virgil?
I'm going to give the same to Virgil. I just think there wasn't anything good that he did that I can kind of give him anything bigger. And I think that he just got absolutely turned by, was it Kulusevski? I think that absolutely turned.
Pulisic, the one he fell on the floor.
Yeah. Was
yeah.
it? Yeah, that was. It wasn't his day. That's all I'm gonna say. I am quite harsh when it comes to, so people in the comments, you want to say I know I'm harsh when it comes to these ratings.
No, but you gotta be honest, Antonis. With Virgil, like there was what was it, 8 out of 10 performances majority of his career at Liverpool. Like if you think about it, now like it's deteriorating, and if we don't actually make him realise what's happening on the pitch, like who's going to tell him? You know what I mean? Well, I agree with you. I think after that goal, the way he was running back, 6 is a generous thing. I'll even go as far as 5. And I'm telling you, because I expect high from him, high levels of performance. I expect from Van Dijk, and he hasn't been showing me this season, and he still plays every game. That's the thing, though, Antonis.
Yeah, absolutely. But we still won the game, so I'm not going to give anybody less than a 6. But I think when it comes to Van Dijk, I think the really good thing about him, which is really important, is this is the 3rd time he's addressing him not being at his best and him not playing his best football. Yeah. And I think he's held himself accountable. And I feel like so many times when players haven't played well, they haven't spoken to media, they haven't really kind of come up or apologized for the way they've played. Yeah. But Virgil van Dijk is the first person to kind of criticize himself. And I think that's what really separated him from everybody else in the rest of his career. So it's really, really good to see a player like him be holding himself accountable for the way he's playing.
Yeah. What about Konate, mate? Obviously, I've said that about him, what I thought. I think he's playing 2 positions, and sometimes it could take its toll on him. And it looks like it, because he's making errors like he doesn't normally make. But if he plays in his own position, which is a centre back, not right back and centre back, I think he'd be more comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. He did make mistakes. Thankfully, I don't think any of them really impacted the game that much. Other than just general inconsistency.
One was a penalty, though. One was a penalty.
Yeah, that is true. But at the end of the day, when it does come to Konate, though, I think there is things that he did really well.
Yeah.
Like Virgil van Dijk and Robertson didn't really have that in that game, but Konate did, like him winning his aerial duels, making those last minute tackles. So I'm going to...
Sorry, man, I couldn't hear you. Say that again. What are you
giving? 7.
Yeah. Trent, what do you think of Trent, mate?
It's really weird with Trent, innit? Because we still there's still
just put him there. He's there, just leave him there.
Questions on where he plays, and also the amount of players that his position, like his transition, is affecting, like Robertson, like Konate, like Van Dijk, like Fabinho. There's so many players around him being affected by his change, so it's really hard to see. And even when there is issues, they're not necessarily his fault, because it's the new system that we're putting in place. So I'm going to give him a 7. He did get an assist.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything spectacular other than that. But I think he wanted the ball. Like, you could see he was frustrated when he wasn't getting the ball. And it was the first time you saw him actually being excited to get the ball. So there is things to kind of... There's a bit of promise there. So we'll give him a 7.
Fabinho?
Fabinho...
Again, it's tough, that one.
It is. It really is, because I've been quite critical of him this season. I love him as a player. He was one of my favorite players, and that's why I'm so critical, because I know what he's worth and what and exactly what he's capable of. But at the same time, he has been absolutely burnt out. I feel like he could have done a lot more to stop that counterplay. He didn't necessarily, again, do anything good to jump out, but he didn't necessarily make any terrible mistakes. He was just there.
Yeah.
He didn't necessarily do anything. I'm going to give him a 6.
A 6?
Is that too much? 7?
No, 6 is fine. 6 is fine. With Fabinho, the problem I got, I've discussed it with one of my mates, Jamie Phillips. He has his own channel. Please go subscribe to him if you're watching this back, and people present. What he said was so spot on, is unreal. He said, "You're a midfield destroyer. the guy who's supposed to protect that defense and what's in front of it should not be carried in games. You know, like majority of the time we vouch for Fabinho. He hasn't got the personnel around him and all that. But if you look at the likes of Henderson and Wijnaldum, they were covering him how many times back in the day? They were like going behind, intercepting balls when he misses it and things like that. But what I agree with Jamie is our midfield destroyer should be the ones like Mascherano we used to have. Goes everywhere, takes everybody on. You know what I mean? Not like a guy we have to do the running for him so he could just intercept the ball here and there. So next season, I think we should be looking at that position as well. We need another player there that's more mobile than him, that's more pacey than him, that doesn't find it hard to turn when you have to chase a player back. You know what I mean? The midfield destroyer, if a player gets past him, he normally goes back and slide tackles the person that gets the ball. With Fabinho, once you get past him, it's the end because he can't catch you.
We do have Bajcetic coming back as well. It will be interesting to see if he does play that number 6. I think he's more of a number 8 just because of the technical ability he has as a player. But yeah, I think you're right, because Fabinho, like even in the seasons where he did play really well, he was like a product. He was a product of our scheme and our system because of how much those other midfielders, how much distance they cover.
They covered,
really allowed him to just focus on intercepting that ball and just breaking up that play. So I think he did get a lot of cover there. And again, when he was at his best, he was unplayable. But when he wasn't playing at his best, he was our biggest problem. So we definitely need to look at that other position, regardless of whether we get Fabinho back or not, because
they look at. I think they're looking at someone from Sporting, aren't they, Liverpool? What's his name?
We've looked at Paulinho as well from Fulham. He's more of like a deep lying playmaker type of player. But again, you need if Fabinho does go down, there's no one else that can play that position in this pitch.
100%, bro. Next one, Curtis Jones. What do you think of him? Like, has he improved, like everybody's saying, or is he still in the same level? Are we being fooled for what we see? Obviously, he scored a goal as well.
So with Curtis Jones, when like in previous years, we played a traditional 4-3-3 with no number 10. In my opinion, Curtis Jones is a mixture between a number 8 and a number 10 that can get the ball and carry it forward. And he hasn't really had the chance to do that based on the scheme that we play. Same with Elliott and same with Carvalho, by the way. But I think, because of Trent coming into midfield, it kind of pushes Fabinho a bit further to the left, and Curtis Jones started to create a really nice pocket with Diaz. And I think it really, really suits him. So again, it's not necessarily that he's automatically become this better player. He's just playing in a system that suits his style of play so much more. And it's allowing us to start seeing the good parts of Curtis Jones. In my opinion, while he was on the pitch, he was my man of the match. Because not only because of these things that I've said about him improving in this system, but the amount of running he did, the amount of pressing he did, the amount of times he won that ball to create that second and third goal. He got that ball from those defenders and then bang, we were straight back on the attack. I'm going to give him an 8 because up until he left the field, he was my man of the match.
I don't think we conceded that many goals when he was on the pitch. I mean, so
our real decline started when he came off.
Come off, got to give the kid credit. He is improving, like he said he is. He did say that. He said, if Liverpool buy players, I'm still confident in my ability to be in the first team. So if someone's that confident and he's doing the business, by all means, we're all behind you, bro. We're all behind you. The one I was talking about, Liverpool are looking at from Sporting, I believe, Portuguese side, is Manuel Agate. Yeah. He's a defensive midfielder. He's a destroyer, and I think he's the type of midfielder we're looking at. We should be looking at because he never gives up in that midfield. Like I said, someone like Mascherano, who's gonna defend for the defense and defend for the players in front of him as well, and he's going to cover the whole pitch instead of like just the centre and try to intercept balls. I'm not discrediting Fabinho. He's done an outstanding job since he's been here, but I think it's just one game too many for him at the moment, and he needs that backing in that midfield. Maybe someone said we might not even need to buy a midfielder. We could just put Henderson there to share with him. But is Henderson the player everybody wants? I don't know.
You also rely on Henderson with the amount of injuries he has.
Yeah, it's unreliable, mate. Harvey Elliott, bro.
I'm gonna get straight to the point with Elliott. I'm not gonna criticize him at all. He's a very young player. He was given a really tough task to even be asked to come and play a game like this. Which in I don't think this system suits him. But for this system to suit him, he needs to play a lot higher up the pitch.
Spot on.
I'm gonna give him a 6. It's not his fault. I think it was a product of the system that we played, and with that right-sided midfielder that we play with this system needs to be a very basic number 8. And I don't think that's Elliott, because Elliott isn't a number 8. He's being played out of position. He's a left winger, right winger, or a centre
number
attack,
10,
number 10, or maybe even a false 9 if you have another striker up front. He had an impossible task, especially against Tottenham that play Højbjerg and Skip, that are extremely defensive minded.
And they're gonna run in that midfield the whole game. You know what I mean?
He was set up for failure, bro, in that game. Unfortunately,
I feel sorry for him because it's the athleticism, innit? He hasn't got that. That's the thing. If you look at Harvey Elliott when he runs, it takes him time to get to the other side of the pitch, and that's not his game. That is not his game. You know what I mean? And the most important thing here, Antonis, is he's trying, bro. That's the most important thing. We support you if you try. If you don't try, that's when we come at you. So he's trying. That's the most important thing about him. The next player, I'll go to is Diaz. I thought it was fantastic. I honestly thought it was brilliant.
I'm gonna give him another 8. I think him and Curtis Jones on that left-hand side just single-handedly dominated that game. Again, I said we missed it earlier. It was someone to be able to get the ball and dribble past a couple of players. We've missed that so much, bro. And it was, as soon as he came in, I was like, oh my God, like that, how much we actually depended on that. How many times this season have we got the ball and it's come to maybe Jota or Nunez, or Salah hasn't been able to get past someone, and then the next thing you know, the ball's back at the centre-back. Do you know what I mean? Having someone that gets that ball and just drops that shoulder and he's gone, and then we're back, the football's right back in the middle, or it's right back out wide and we're attacking again. It's so vital to that heavy metal football that we play. So, I'm so excited to have him back, man.
Listen, I'm happy he's back. Like you said, the best thing about him compared to other players, he's unpredictable. He does things other players can't do. So when you're facing opponents, it's better having a player that can confuse them, or a player that does the same thing again and again. And you already can read him basically when you're playing the game. Like we used to play football, we already know when we're playing against our mates what he's going to do next. You know what I mean? So that's the difference with Diaz and other people that play on the left hand side as well. I'm glad he's back. I think we would have been in a higher position if he stayed fit this season, because I think he would have had more impact in goals, assists, and taking shots from outside the box, which we don't do a lot. And if you look at majority of these goals, it's always outside the box, curling into that left hand side of the goalkeeper corner. So that's all got to work on next season as well. Like more shots from outside the box, which we don't do. I don't know, it's a taboo or something. I don't know what it is, man. I have no idea. So Gakpo is the next one. I think Gakpo is improving. I think this kid in that role, the way he's making the game simple, suits him now. When I used to watch Firmino, which I love, I always mention, which I love so much, the ball always used to bounce off him. With Gakpo, the ball is always with him. Instant control, turn and run with the ball and make that right pass. And his passes, 9 times out of 10, always finds the player. Every single time. So what do you think of him, bro? I know a lot of people were actually saying, is he what we need? We needed a central midfielder. But, some managers start from the top and work their way back in it. Maybe that's what Klopp is doing this time.
I think with Gakpo, and everyone's comparing him to Bobby Firmino. And I think it's a very fair comparison to make. But, unfair to Bobby Firmino, he was never really a forward. He was a midfielder. So he never really had that eye for goal the same way that Gakpo does. You got to remember, Gakpo, when he was in the Eredivisie, he was scoring a goal a game. He was assisting a goal. His mentality and his eye for goal was phenomenal. He was cut onto that right. If he can take a shot outside the box, he will. If he can take a player on, he will. So he's brought that relentless, and he's brought it into Liverpool scheme where he can drop back a little bit, take that player on, and either create something or either take it on himself. And I think it's beautiful because, again, unlike Firmino, he has that more attacking prowess to him. And also he's more physical. He's a taller guy. He's harder to get around. He's got longer legs. And his control of the ball is a little bit better as well. Like, the ball's not bouncing off him, like you said. It always seems to be sticking to his feet. So I think he actually has potential to be a better version of what Firmino was in prime us. But again, that's a really hard task to ask. But I mean, the fact that we have Jota fit, the fact that we have Nunes that has such high expectations, yet Gakpo has started every single game, I think speaks for itself. Klopp, like you said, when he trusts a player, he'll trust the player. So, and I think Gakpo, because of his age, his physicality and stuff like that, he can take the amount of minutes, but he will also get the rest that he needs because other players need to get time as well. So I'm going to give him a 7 because he did have a hard task with, Skip and Højbjerg playing such a defensive game. Romero is very physical as well. But I think overall, he's exactly what we were looking for in that, like, number 9 false 9 striker.
If we're going to go back to the team that we used to be, I think, although like I love Firmino and Mane, I think this new trio up front, and with obviously Diaz, so Nunes and that, I think there could be a force, There could be like a real force. I could see them like in tight games in the next few seasons. Like, we could get out of trouble. Like you're gonna have players playing, and you're gonna have players coming off the bench like Jota and Nunes, or Nunes will start. Like interchanging the players for certain games in the coming seasons will be very, very interesting, because what we struggle against the most is deep line defending teams. And if you have those type of players for those kind of games, it's going to be like, 3-4, we're going to get a lot of goals, you know what I mean? Instead of like hesitating, because what we used to have before, Anthony, is when the team, like deep line defense, will start panicking. So the game just prolongs, like with pass after pass after pass, going nowhere with it. Now we've got the different type of strikers in the team. Jota is direct. He's both-footed. Nunes is quick. He can finish. He's good in the air. And then you got Gakpo, good on the floor, good running, powerful runner with the ball. So you can see it's all different strikers. It's not even the same strikers anymore. So if we have these options next season and then the coming seasons, and don't forget, Jota is about 25, 26. Nunes is about 23. So is Gakpo. So that's like next 8 to 9 years, bro, with the same players. You know what I mean? Until we probably sell them off. So the future looks bright, man.
Absolutely.
The only thing that people have an issue with is the way we have to restart to come back again. But we always speak about, Anthony, we don't have the financial power like other teams, bro. It's going to be difficult for us. So I'll move on to Salah.
Utilize, bro.
I'll move on to Salah. What do you think of him, man? It's tough yesterday, but he scored his goal. He scored his goal, bro.
I'm going to be very honest. A lot of people are very protective of Salah. I'm not. He's created his own expectations. Yes, he's done all of these things. He is a fantastic player, absolutely. However, when you demand to be paid the amount of money he is paid, you should be able to single-handedly control the game by yourself, the same way that De Bruyne does, the same way that Haaland does. So when he has a shit game, I'll be the first person to tell you. Sorry, excuse my language. No, when he has a bad game, I'll be the first person to tell you, because you asked for that money. You like almost were threatening the club asking for that. You started negotiations halfway through the season, which was a terrible tactic, extremely unprofessional. And then
disrupting the squad while we're challenging for a title. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. And then you were on holiday in the summer, and the club had to fly to you to get a contract signed. I know it's his agent. I know he probably doesn't have a lot to do about it. So it is kind of, you don't know what's there and what's not. However, the way that it was dealt and the way he's been performing as of late has been a bit like, you need to back yourself up here. At the end of the day, if you want to be paid £350,000 a week plus bonuses, which could take you up to 450, I will give it to you. However, you need to make sure that 32 goal season that you had, you should be able to somehow replicate that every single year. I know we've had a bad season. But when you have a bad season, in order to be paid that money, you need to make everybody else around you better. And I don't think he's done that this season. And that's why I think it's justified the criticism he's received, because people are having to back him up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's not making everyone around him better, but the people around him are trying to make him better. So yeah, I know I can be harsh. A lot of people.
No. I feel the same, bro. I feel the same.
Football's a sport of opinions, man, and that is my opinion. I think
First and foremost, you support Liverpool. You don't support individual players. That's what it is.
Absolutely.
So everyone deserves a criticism. If you don't have that in you, then I don't know if football's for you. And I'm not trying to like say, you know, in a bad way, but I've always said it, Antonis. Like even when John Barnes was playing, like, I was critical, and that's my favorite player. It doesn't matter. You gotta tell the truth, like you just did. The guy is getting over 300,000 a week. What are you doing, bro? Yeah. The team, to me, it clearly proves the team was the thing. The team was the how do you say it? It was the team that got him to where he is. If you get what I'm saying, instead of like individually, he's not an individual player. He's not that type of player that gets the game scruff of the neck. Oh, I'm gonna get us through this game when it's tough and we can't win it. You know what I mean? He does like Gerrard used to do, like De Bruyne does, like players like that. He doesn't do things like that. That's why I've always said it's the winner, the team Klopp always puts together. It's not all about individuals. It's as a team, as a whole. And if you take out certain players, those players that's getting all those goals and all that glory won't be the same. And that's what's happened to him, bro. Since Ronaldo never left, Mane left, there's no competition for him anymore like he used to have. You remember before, he used to look across the pitch, I'm going to outscore Mane today. You know what I mean? I don't want him to show me up. He hasn't got that anymore. But like you said, he's getting that 300 bags a week. What are you doing, bro? It's been like, we're at the end of the season. We haven't seen you be consistent all season. And people are making excuses for you at the same time. Oh, he's playing his touchline winger. No, he should be playing up front. No, great players you don't make excuses for. Great players performing in his stage. You know what I mean? That's Messi, that's Maradona, that's Pele. So that's what I'm trying to say about him. Although he gets a lot of goals, how many of them got ever decisive goals? You know what I mean? What is the first goal? What is the last goal? I don't see a lot of that from Salah.
The strikers finishes as well. Some of the penalties, some of them are tap-ins, some of them are like him being fed
because the team build-up is a team build-up. He doesn't do it himself.
It's not like the seasons before where he would get the ball, take a couple of players on, cut inside, score a beauty. He's not doing that anymore this season. This season, his goals, he's got a good amount of goals and 17 Premier League goals, I think it is. But none of them have been like, that's Salah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, he's being paid that much money in a relatively young team around him as well. Like, he's got a hard task and stuff. I'm not going to be too critical, but
no. Yeah. But he put that pressure on himself, Antonis. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Once you do that, that means football is gonna have to go up. You know what I mean? You have to do extraordinary things if you want that bag, and he's not doing that extraordinary thing. I think he's worse off now than last few seasons. I don't think he's better off. I mean, even though he's getting more money now, so. Yeah, like he needs to look at himself next season, bro. Like, and Liverpool need to look at it as well, because if we don't question him about his performances, especially this season, then there's something wrong with the club. I mean, the guy, like you said, he was on a holiday somewhere. He had Liverpool had to fly over there. All this stuff. What about the respect for your teammates, man? You know what I mean? Like when you're doing things like that, do you even respect Van Dijk, who's the best defender in the world at the time? Do you respect Alisson, who was the best goalkeeper in the world at the time? They signed contracts for like twice as less as you, because they want to be at the club and they love the actual atmosphere around the club.
That's what I was going to get to as well, because you look at Mane, he was in exactly the same situation. No one knew that Mane was even talking contract talk with the club up until the season ended. And then we couldn't reach a deal. I had to go and do something else for myself. And he went on to Bayern. He was extremely professional about it.
Yeah.
Salah, halfway through the season, you start contract negotiations in January, and then you let them go on. And it was almost like I felt like he was holding the club hostage. I'm not saying he was. That's how it felt from a fan's perspective, looking outside in. Mm-hmm. And then the fact that we had to fly while he was on holiday. It was just like, I feel like he was putting himself first. And it's fair, players only get 10, 15 years to make as
Yeah.
much money as they possibly can.
Exactly.
I'm never against someone getting paid the amount of money they deserve.
Of course.
But when you get paid
You have to prove it.
the responsibility that comes with it, you need to hold yourself accountable to. And yeah,
Exactly.
it is what it is. Anyway,
Well, the season's not over, so he might do a miraculous thing. We'll qualify for Champions League football, so let's see.
Absolutely. And if he does and you have a conversation with me, it might be a totally different conversation.
Yeah, it's true. Salah, what do you think of him?
He scored the penalty. I don't think he should have been on the penalty because he's missed his last two, and he missed two for Egypt as well. Over the nations. That's 4 missed penalties in the last season, 12 months exactly. I don't think he should have been on it, but he took it. He took it with confidence. He went straight to the ball. He took it up, and he's like, "I'm taking this penalty, no doubt about it." So that was good to see. But other than the penalty, he was very quiet. He lost the ball 4 times by himself in the second half. He couldn't seem to get past anybody.
No.
Which, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna give him a 6. I'm gonna leave it at that because I don't think it wasn't a good game from him. Other than the penalty, he didn't really do anything to me. So,
yeah, big up, bro. Yeah, listen, you just gotta be as honest as possible. You can't lie to yourself. You know what I mean? And that's what we don't want. I think all the listeners, everybody agrees with that, because if we lie to ourselves and tell you false, information, it's not the way you go football, man. You gotta be honest as possible. So, finally, the league is there. 7 points, obviously, off Man United. They've got that game in hand. Can we or not?
To be honest, man, do you know what? Newcastle and United have tough games. Yeah. That's the truth. They've got tough games remaining. We have a significantly easier run in comparison. I mean, our only tough game is Aston Villa remaining, and everything else other than that is we should be winning by a strong majority. Do you know what I mean? But I think, and I was on COT TV yesterday after the game, and I'm gonna give the same response I gave to them. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if we get top 4 or not, because if we don't get top 4, it could be a blessing in disguise. We could need that rest. We can afford to rotate players in Europa League. We didn't have that luxury in the Champions League in the last couple of seasons. So if we have that luxury of rotating players in the Europa League, allowing players like Virgil van Dijk to get a bit of a break, we wouldn't be able to do that if we were in the Champions League, bro. So let that happen. Maybe it will help us be even better this season after. Players like the Europa League games will help give players like Bajetic minutes, players like Ben Doak minutes, Elliot, Carvalho if he's still here. Do you know what I mean? So maybe it could be a blessing in disguise. But at the same time, if we do make it, happy days, top 4. So it doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter. We're still going to be Liverpool fans at the end of the day. And I think we've proven to ourselves through thick and thin, we love this club more than anything in the world, man. So it vouch to the Liverpool fans because they've shown great character this season, man.
I've always said that, bro. The fans deserve more compared to other clubs. I heard you guys after the match, the way the fans were shouting, it's just another level, bro. It was so beautiful to hear. It shows we're levels above other fans, bro. You look at our club where we're in 5th at best. Been a terrible season, but the fans come in their drones. They don't give up. They always back the team. I mean, if this was another club, you probably get booed off the pitch. That's how it is. You know what I mean?
United last season, man, they were protesting. They were in a better position than we're in this season. And they were protesting, and their owners were still spending nearly 300 million.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? And they were interrupting games. They were protesting. They were throwing flares. And we dealt with the situation with class. I think that people say that United went through it longer, bro. This is the last 3 seasons. 2 of them have been absolutely shocking seasons, man.
Yeah.
For the last 10 years, if you look at the amount of net spend we have, is just absolutely ridiculous in comparison to how much we actually generate as a club. So we can go into another discussion about FS.
Yeah, we'll make another discussion about that. Yeah.
At the end of the day, man, I think our fans have been class. I think we've been vocal when we needed to be vocal. We've voiced our concerns without being disruptive of our club because we actually have a lot of respect for our club.
Spot on.
I think there is moments where we could be more vocal collectively. But we'll
So,
see.
yeah, don't be afraid to say what you feel. You spend your hard-earned money to go and watch this team. So, if you are concerned, share your opinion, because what happens sometimes, Anthony, is our fan base are afraid to say what they feel because they're worried what other fans are going to say about them.
Absolutely.
It shouldn't be like that. You support Liverpool for yourself. You don't support Liverpool for anybody else. You know what I mean? That's what I say. What I want to say. I can be positive, but I could be negative, and I could be in between. That's what fans should be like. And I've always said it. These owners are not good enough for Liverpool. We deserve better. You know what I mean? Liverpool Football Club. Look at the league, people. Look at where we are. Look at this position. Like, we should not be there. We should be competing there. Newcastle. You know what I mean? When you accept the last of Newcastle and teams like that to be above you, that's when you start worrying. I don't care how much money these teams have. We're Liverpool Football Club. Look at the two biggest teams in the country where they are, bro. Look, we're fourth and fifth. That should never happen.
When you're
I'm talking about like, it would happen, but I'm saying points wise, we should be way behind those guys like that. We should be up there, man, every single time competing for top three.
Absolutely. We shouldn't be outside we should be title contenders season in, season out.
Season in, season out, bro.
Considering that our stadium is one of the best stadiums in the world in atmosphere, in consistency.
Everybody copies us.
In performances as well, man. I think we've had 4 losses in the last 7 seasons in Anfield or whatever.
Wow.
It's something phenomenal like that. Don't quote me on it. I can't remember, but it's something phenomenal like that. And again, like the fact that
we have lost obviously that season when we lost 6 in a row. But if you're talking about when the players have been together,
outside of that season, we've had 4 losses in the Premier League.
If the players were together, 100%.
Yeah.
So I've done a prediction. So I'm obviously on the right, and obviously the results are on the left. I thought it was going to be 1-1, but it finished 4-3. Almost a draw. And then Brentford 2, Northern Forest 1. I got that one right. Wolverhampton. I was shocked. You know what I mean? I thought like they would do all right, but they got battered. Absolutely battered. 6-1, man. I honestly thought that coach got it right as well, bro. At Wolves, because they've been winning games recently. And then Bournemouth, I gave that 0-0 because I thought Leeds would be more tight up since they're fighting relegation, and both of them are in that position. So I got that one wrong. That's 4-1. And then you got Fulham against Man City. That's a 3-0 Man City, but it finished 2-1. I think Man City was too relaxed in that game, in my opinion, Anthony. They put too many players that don't play in. That's how the squad is. Look, Fulham is not even a bad team, and Fulham was at home, and Man City went over there and still got the win. Bloody hell! And then Man United, I thought Aston Villa is going to do it, but if you look back at the game, Aston Villa had a few opportunities, bro. They had a few opportunities, but they didn't win the game. I was hoping they could have done it, but things don't go your way. So Man United won, and I put Aston Villa to win that by 2-0. Newcastle, 3-1 they won. I'll give it 2-0. Are Newcastle the real deal, bro?
Yeah, I think they are, because they've done it consistently, isn't it? Like this season, they've been there. I mean, they've had a couple of shaky games, but they've had some good performances against good sides, and they've been able to compete consistently. I mean, it's not like, you look at Liverpool, where we do really, really well, and then we have a massive drop-off, and then we do really, really well, and then we have, Newcastle have been quite consistent throughout the whole season, and they had a couple of games where they dropped some results as well, especially as of late. But I think that Newcastle have a lot of potential, man. They've got, considering the you look at their squad, and you compare it to the rest of the top 6,
you won't believe it.
Nowhere near.
You won't believe it.
Good players. They've got some good players, but they're nowhere near the quality.
Bro, these are the same players last season was in the bottom 3. They only bought two players in it, Bruno and Trippier. I think that's the only 2 they bought. And now look at them. Joe Linton is performing. Almiron is performing.
Isaac looks like the best player, most exciting player.
It's crazy, bro. But Botman, they bought Botman. That's the guy we was afterwards, wasn't we? I remember Font
as well from Everton, but he hasn't really done much this season.
It'll take him time. They're doing their, get used to the team.
I think they are the real deal, because they seem to have a good grounding, man. And I think a team like Newcastle, it doesn't matter how good or bad your squad is, when you've got fans like that behind you,
passionate, man.
Momentum's on your way. It's like sailing, bro. You're just smooth sailing.
Absolutely, man. And I gave Liverpool 3-0, but you know they finished 4-3. They let me down. They were 3-0 up, and
It
they
should have
were.
been. Oh, yeah, it
Should have been 3-0. My predictions are getting better. They're getting better. So next season, I can't wait until this when we do the prediction league. I'm gonna get something for the winner. So everybody enter, man. Everybody enter. It's gonna be an interesting league, man. But I need someone to do it. So I have to find one of you guys to do it for us because I'm not good with scores and all that stuff. But we will agree then. We will agree to disagree how the points are gonna be shared in games and all that stuff. But yeah, man, I hope you enjoyed this, mate. I hope it was a great chat. I'm coming back tomorrow, people, by the way. I'm going to do the preview for Liverpool versus Fulham. So please tune in at 9 o'clock. I know it's bank holiday today. Everybody's at somewhere celebrating it. So please come back tomorrow, 9 o'clock, 9 p.m. I'll be here. Yeah, Anthems, I enjoyed it, bro. I enjoyed it, man. It's a pleasure to have you as always. We're going to see a lot of you, aren't we? So you're part of the channel now, so... Whenever you're ready, just let us know, and we're gonna get you on, man. You don't have to ask like, oh, can I come on? Just, I'm in. Then we just put you in. Yeah, bro. Yeah, that's all I got for you people. Antonis, where can they find you, man?
Say that again, bro.
Where can they find you if there's new people?
So I've just changed my handle on Twitter. It's kind of like my rebranding, and that's what I'm gonna be moving forward with. It's LFC Pablo _ on Twitter. Feel free to follow me there. I'll be posting all my content. You'll be seeing a lot of me here as well. You might even see me tomorrow. Yeah, so feel free to give me a follow, and I'll follow everyone back as long as they're kind of Liverpool related on Twitter.
Much appreciated, bro. Matt says, Liverpool, what is Konate enjoy doing? Klopp out. We are trash, deserve to lose. Trend experiment is done for me, and so is top 4. Bloody hell, man! You just woke up now. Take it easy, man. Football is just a game. It's just a game. Don't let it affect your life, man. That's what I used to do back when I was younger. But you know, look, all this because of Liverpool Football Club. I mean, I used to look young before. Yeah, so please, people, like, share, subscribe. If you like this channel, just come back on a regular basis. We're going to be like doing a lot of this. We're not going to end it here, and we're trying to get to 1,000. As you can see, we're moving towards it. So I'm going to be back tomorrow, 9 o'clock after work. See, I don't have a rest. I'll still do this for you guys. I'll be back after work doing this preview show. Hopefully I'll get a couple of more guests, and we could talk about Liverpool on there and Fulham. And yeah, man, much appreciated. Thanks for coming on, people. John Conway, the regular, he says, great stream for you. As always, for you, bro. You're the man. For you, we do this. Yeah, so join me tomorrow, 9 p.m. And we'll do the preview for Liverpool versus Fulham. Thank you for coming on, everybody. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. Take care, everybody.